So these are kind of the problems I told you I will put on Edpuzzle extra credit, and we have these problems here, right? What is sine as x approaches 0? What is the sine? What is the y value of that function? And these are all trigonometric functions, right? And so kind of to make sense of this, let's look at the unit circle first of all. Well, the unit circle is special because it has a radius of 1. I can't tell you how important that is. That's why this is just 1 comma 0, because the entire radius is just length 1, so it's 1 comma 0. Therefore this length right here at this value is 0 comma 1. Okay, and then over here is obviously let me just draw it in. Over here it's negative 1 comma 0 because this is negative x-axis, and here it's going to be, oops, I found a typo, 0, and this is going to be negative 1. Let me just rewrite that, 0 comma negative 1. All right. Well, right here, the angle is just 0 or 2 pi, okay? So right here, it's 1 comma 0. So remember, x is cosine, is cosine, and y is sine, all right? Tangent is sine over cosine. So this problem up here says, what is sine, right? What is the y value as x approaches 0? Let me just change the color real quick. And so I'm going to get sine of 0. Well, sine of 0, sine is the y value. Well, the y value, if you look over here, is 0. Okay, it's the coordinate points on the unit circle, and so that's got to be 0. Well, cosine of 0 is 1, right? I just showed you down below. And tangent is sine over cosine. Well, sine is 0 divided by 1, and that's totally fine. 0 divided by 1 is just 0. So you can see these are relatively quick as long as we just have an idea of the angles that we're referring to. Well, pi over 6 is this angle here, all right? And the coordinate points for that is square root of 3 over 2 and 1/2. And the reason why I knew that is, well, if I drew this triangle, okay, the height of this triangle is small, right? And so I knew that's why the y value had to be 1/2, and obviously the length of the base of this triangle is longer, which told me it was the square root of 3 over 2. All right, so therefore, well, remember, x is cosine, y is sine, and so I go up here at pi over 6, right? Sine of pi over 6 was 1/2. Cosine of pi over 6 is square root of 3 over 2. We know tangent is sine over cosine theta. So this is going to be 1/2 divided by the square root of 3 over 2. Okay, I can rewrite this as 1/2 divided by the square root of 3 over 2. Then I can just take the reciprocal, 1/2 times, to flip it. I'm going to get 2 divided by the square root of 3, and you'll notice the 2 cancels out. We get left with 1 over the square root of 3. We usually don't like square roots on the bottom, so we could just rationalize the denominator, which is just multiplying square root of 3 at both sides. Well, 3 times 3 is 9 on the bottom, but square root of 9 is 3. And so you see the square roots just cancel each other out, so we get 3. All right, and then on the top, we just get 1 times the square root of 3, so square root of 3. So, all right, so that's the answer for that here. Okay, the next problem is asking for pi over 3. Well, remember, we could just go around the unit circle. Well, 30 degrees, let's go 60 degrees. 60 degrees. Well, that's pi over 6. This is going to be 2 pi. I'll just write it all the way over here. 2 pi over 6, which simplifies to pi over 3. And the coordinate points for this, okay? Well, let me just show you again with the triangle. Well, if I draw my triangle, you'll notice now the base of the triangle is smaller. That's why I'm going to put the 1/2 there. And now the height of the triangle is obviously a lot taller. So that's why the square root of 3 goes over there. Square root of 3 over 2. All right, now to find, well, again, cosine is x and sine is y. So therefore, all right, I can conclude that sine of pi over 3 is going to give me square root of 3 over 2. Cosine of pi over 3 is going to give me 1/2. Tangent is sine over cosine, so we'll get the square root of 3 over 2 divided by 1/2. I'll rewrite this as the square root of 3 divided by 2 divided by 1/2. Again, I'll just do the square root of 3 divided by 2. Flip it, turn to give me the reciprocal, and I get 2 over 1. These cancel out, and we're just left with the square root of 3. as my answer for this one here, okay? So this is just reviewing sine, cosine, tangent. Again, we'll get more practice on this as we go on with the course. It's just a little